From there, I was about 22, Pete, when I opened up that venture, and we ran. Actually, sorry, that I was about 20. Actually, I was about 20, leading up to 24 when I actually separated from that. And the reason why I separated was, at the age of 24, was pretty much burned out, to be honest. I always believed, and this is something I would love to talk as well today about, to be honest. I always believed in the idea of working hard to actually, making a living and to establish my brand and myself in a global market space, and that is totally not right. And the reason why it's, I wouldn't say it's not right. It wasn't right for me. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no right and wrong in life, but it wasn't right for me in that context. Okay. And I was totally burnt out after that venture, to be honest. I was studying at the same time. I was working a business. I had my apartments. I was financially very well off, but I identified very quickly that it wasn't the core of my life. It wasn't everything. It wasn't, in fact, just didn't quite feel true to me to really, working my butt off day in and day out. And what I did quite, I guess, interestingly enough, I literally separated from this company, even though it broke my heart, man. Even though I thought, what the heck am I doing here? Seriously, my parents just, called me crazy for just stepping up to my truths and stepping up to the things I really believed in, and saying, I gotta do more in life. There's something out there which I haven't seen yet. And with the result of separating from this business, with the result of literally quitting my study, which was a total foreign concept in my life, to quitting something. So I quit my study, I sold my apartments, I even sold my kitchen. I sold it, I sold it all. I had this massive list of things I had to get done, this German precision, right? Before I leave to Australia. And this was my goal, to actually going into a country by myself, without support network, without somebody else, without even speaking the language. So I'm quite fortunate to be able to having right now that conversation with you.
Yeah.
You will understand as well in my language, there's still stuff around my language which doesn't quite make sense the way I say it as a native Aussie, right?
Yeah.
But I'm quite lucky everyone understands me eventually, so it's all kind of, it all works out. But I went to Australia, said goodbye to my family, to my friends. I remember myself, I had this blue luggage which I pushed to the train station. My family said goodbye, and I was sitting in the front carrier of this train. And the German trains, Pete, if you don't know, they literally go with 300 k's an hour, 300 k's an hour, literally across the country. And I was sitting in this very front carrier, literally looking out through the cockpit of the driver of this massive train going 300 k's an hour. You can imagine all these trees.
Yeah.
And I was crying my eyes out. I was literally crying. I was like, I couldn't see much through my eyes at all, right?
Wow.
And I was always crying for happiness, to having done that step, to having committed to my own life, to having done something which I've never done before. And I saw all these trees like life, like pass me by. And all these memories came up, like these trees passing by me with 300 k's an hour. And that was a very emotional moment for me, by saying, you know what, it is amazing what I have accomplished so far, even though I've never really recognized it in that way. But this is right now a new stepping board, a new milestone in my life. And I felt like being very curious. I felt that ferocious curiosity of actually understanding that this is going to be massive. This is going to be massive, and it has been since then.
Yeah. So you came to Australia, couldn't speak the language, no English at all.
Well, it's compulsory to speak or to learn the language in Germany. So we had to learn actually for 8 years. And this is actually a bit of a, well, I don't know if I have to feel shame right now, after 8 years not being able to speak English at all. But, I just had no interest in Germany to speak English, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't speak much at all.
Okay, so what did you do when you got here? You couldn't speak the language. Did you get a job? Did you start a business? What did you do?
I remember I arrived in Sydney at the airport at 4:30 in the morning, and after 24 hours in the airplane, and I just remember, like, how the heck am I now calling my hostel, my hostel, my hotel where I booked myself into? How the heck do I find out where my hostel is, where my hotel is? So I kind of tried to find a super quiet corner, in the middle of the airport, which is almost impossible, right? And I eventually found that corner. I still couldn't understand anyone there at all. So I kind of just got in a cab, got to my hostel, went from there. So it was a struggle, certainly. It was certainly a struggle. I remember that I had to prepare, the questions I have to ask. If I had to call somebody, I had to prepare potential questions would come from the other side, so I could answer something. Because you got to imagine that if you would ask me a question, my brain would need probably a number of seconds to compute that, to translate it from German into English, to kind of mold an answer to that question, and to fire it back at you.
Yeah.
Right? And that took 10, 20 seconds. So I had to prepare everything before that, right? So it was like total brain fucked. Right? So it was very interesting, and eventually I got a share accommodation place where I eventually learned to speak the language with my mates there where I used to live. So very interesting, actually, thinking back on that.
All right. Let's move a little more into the business side of things. So you're here, you learnt the language now. How long have you been in Australia for now, did you say?
6.5 years.
6.5 years. Okay, what have you done in that 6.5 years? So, business-wise, you got started in some stuff. How did you get started in that? And, who were your mentors? Who kind of guided you to be able to do these things?
Sure. In the beginning of my journey, Australia was so different, Pete. I actually thought, why not do something totally different? I've done 3 degrees in Germany, 2 degrees in Germany, and 1 degree here as well. And to kind of, my mom kind of still calls me crazy to not having pursued my passion or the things that I've studied, as you could relate. But I actually engaged in network marketing about 4.5 years back now, which I don't pursue anymore right now. But network marketing, I've never done it before. I've never heard of the concept network marketing before, and I didn't even know that something like working in a genuine win-win situation in life actually exists. That totally is what entrepreneurship is all about, to actually engage in win-win situations, in a relationship that actually propels both parties forwards. I would actually make somebody successful nowadays in entrepreneurship, or as an entrepreneur. And network marketing to me was a very, very challenging, for sure, but very, very eye-opening moment in my life, or period in my life, for sure. Because I had to face moments in my life and situations in my life which I simply haven't faced before. Do what it takes to becoming successful is nowadays a true reflection of what I do right now in my daily business. And that marketing was my very first step.
So what were some of the lessons that you took away from network marketing?
One lesson, certainly, hands down, was the fact that even though we all fear certain situations, we all are scared of certain situations. That is human evolution. Of actually being scared of something only is an indicator for us that it is a situation where we have not been before. Okay, so, and that was something massively I took out of that journey by saying, okay, my mentors, the people I've worked with, were renowned millionaires. Were millionaires working with Justin Timberlake. Were millionaires traveling the world, just literally living the life that I aspire to live. And if I looked at my life and at these people's life, the only difference was